Hey guys, I hope everyone's doing well. Today I'm going to film a video, or I'm going to do a video about nothing other than controversial topics. Now I'm kind of just going to like breeze through, I found an article via thebestschools.org. They made like a little most controversial topics list, so I'm kind of just gonna breeze through them and just quickly like state my opinion. Disclaimer, this is kind of just like speaking my own opinion. If you disagree or don't agree with these concepts, that's completely fine. Like that's literally why they are controversial. I'm just gonna put my, if you will, 2 cents into them, because I think a lot of these are like very interesting topics. Maybe I'll elaborate on more of them like in the future, but yeah, I'm just gonna breeze through this. So obviously we're gonna start with number one. Number one is gun control. Okay, gun control, I think, you know, whether you think there should be harsher laws, there's, you know, no matter what law gets implemented with anything, people will be able to obtain it. And I personally think, I think the laws that we have now, I personally think if the laws got harder, it would just get easier. It would just be easier for people to obtain guns. You can get them off the black market, dark web, etc., etc. Someone buys one, etc., whatever. A lot of people who own guns aren't necessarily registered to them, so gun control is kind of, in my opinion, like an invalid thing. Should it be implemented sometimes? Sure, but I just don't think that's something that would actually like reach a, like guns will, and any form of weaponry will be something that will be easily obtained forever. Same thing if drugs are illegal. Some of the most illegal drugs are very obtainable no matter where you are. Number 2 is abortion. Wow. Okay, that is a very, wow. So, you know, as a woman, I'm very, you know, do what you want with your life, but I think we all know what causes pregnancy and then what causes an abortion. I personally think there are many ways, especially if you don't want to take birth control. Personally, I'm not on that anymore, but there are ways to go about not becoming pregnant. But I understand accidents do happen, other things happen where pregnancy is an effect. And I do think that resource should be available to women, but there are also women whose resort is, oh, I'll just go here, I'll just get an abortion, if that's your ideology, then that's very poor. Pro-life, pro-choice, that's a really weird thing. I would say I'm kind of in the middle because, you know, pro-choice as in it's your body, you know, and if you're not ready to raise a kid, but also in terms of, you know how that situation happened and it's able to not happen under certain circumstances. Like I said, that one is a very, very interesting topic. I'm very like split in the middle on that, and I have been like for years. I've seen like polls and stuff, people saying, oh, which one are you? I simply cannot answer. I'm not gonna scream at a lady if she's getting an abortion, God forbid, absolutely not. But if people are like, oh, I'll just do this, then you should kind of weigh out your options. But it's your life, whatever. I just hope. Okay, let's see what's next. Religious freedom. I'm not really gonna talk too much about this one because religion, in my opinion, is a very weird topic, and I might actually make a video about that, maybe, and elaborate, but I also might not, because religion's very weird, and in no way am I ever disrespecting religions, but in my personal opinion, and as someone who researches and does extensive research on things and teaches myself things, I do not like I don't want to say like a lot of religions. I don't respect a lot of religions, and I find a lot of them disturbing, and that's my personal opinion. Will I treat someone differently if they are a part of that religion? No. But I have my opinions on them, and I'm able to. I think anything you believe in, I mean, any religion, you know, you're worshiping someone, which is, that's fine if you do, you know, I pray to God, you know, and I think it's weird that people all go in a church every Sunday and gather, and who knows, some of them are the worst people ever, but religion's very weird. Animal rights. Yeah, well, I think that is, unfortunately, you know, animal testing, that's been a thing for years. I do think animals are entitled to rights, but it's a weird subject because a lot of people eat animals. I eat animals. I don't eat all animals, but I do eat animals. So I can't sit here and say don't harm animals. I'm not directly harming them, but I am eating them. So I think it's wrong to do testing on animals, but also I'm literally buying animals from a grocery store. And that's like weird. I've had talks with my friends about that before, and it's very weird. Like, I'm against animal cruelty, but at the same time, I'm eating them. You know what I mean? Like, certain animals, like I eat chicken, I eat beef, and like that stuff. But yeah. Vaccines. Oh my goodness. I think there are some vaccines you need. For example, to go to college back in 2018, when I first started college, everyone had to obtain the meningococcal vaccine against meningitis. That's pretty much like a disease that can kill you. And all the college students, in order to go to college, we all had to get it. Very understandable. I very much understand that. We got the HPV shots when we were kids. We also got, I think we got the chicken pox shots. You know, I got my shots when I was a kid. Flu shot, I don't give a f. The 1 year I got a flu shot, sickest I've ever been. The current vaccine that people are still talking about, I think your choice is your choice. I'm not going to look at you either way if you did get it or if you didn't. But it's more so the fact that don't force it on other people, and I don't think it should be a requirement because everyone can carry this. And also, where did all that go? Maybe because everything happening right now in the world. Next one, privacy rights. Okay, privacy rights. It's crazy because, you know, everyone has opinion on privacy rights, but we're also the same people to just slide through the terms and conditions and just click accept without looking. So I really don't know, like, it's kind of scary, but like, who knows the stuff like we've agreed on? I think everyone's entitled to their own privacy in terms of a lot of things, but in this world, we don't really get much privacy, hence why, say you go on Google and you search up black tuxedo, you will be getting ads for a black tuxedo because your information is being sold to third parties online. No, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. That's an actual fact. That's why when you accept cookies, etc., like, you know, you're pretty much saying, share my searches with people. And that's fine because you can get more valid searches that you're more interested in, similar things you're looking for, but privacy is a bit weird. And privacy rights can go from your phone to where, if you're staying at places, if you're secretly being recorded, etc. It's a weird subject. I'm gonna look at that a bit. Privacy rights, Fourth Amendment. So they're talking about like search and seizures and private enterprises like Google, Facebook that can store data and personal data. We unfortunately do agree to our data being stored a lot of the times. We just don't know it. You know, you guys know the word digital footprint. That's simply our data being stored. Unreasonable search and seizures. I think if you don't have the paperwork or why you're searching someone, then f*** off simply. Free market capitalism. Kind of boring. Don't really feel like talking about it. Capitalism versus socialism. I think they're both stupid and they're both ran by money. No matter, I don't really care what people think this one is. It's both ran by money. Everything's ran by money. Any ism, yeah, come on. I'm not interested in any of those isms. I know what they are, but I don't. I don't really find it interesting talking about them, and maybe one day we could control what type of ism we're in, but I don't like any of them. I don't like capitalism, socialism, communism, don't like any of those. Fascism, whatever the f*** it all is. Global climate change. So I think this one's controversial more so on a political standpoint because some people simply don't believe. I don't think it should have anything to do with politics. It's simply the polar bears, hello, their icebergs are breaking. And I live in Pennsylvania and it was just 2 days ago, it was 71 degrees. Right now it's 37 degrees. I don't think it takes Albert Einstein to know that, like, that's fucking weird. But I very much do believe a global climate change is a thing. I think we should take precautions about it, but that's not the only thing we should be worrying about, unfortunately, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that are bad for our environment. You know, it's talking about greenhouse gases, rising of global temperatures, yeah. It's kind of another thing that I don't really like talking about. I do believe it's a thing, but, you know. Evolution. So I'm assuming the infamous thing with all the apes and do we come from, or do we come from monkeys, etc., whatever. I think we evolved from something. I definitely think, cavemen back then, the hairy people, I think that's true. Like, and it's interesting, whatever, that pulls into religion and people's religious beliefs. But I do think humans now, what we look like now, if you go back centuries and centuries, I do not think we looked the same as what we would look like now. I think that's a simple fact, for sure. 10, marijuana legalization. All right, I'm gonna have a little bit to say about this. Not a lot, a little bit. Okay, so this might be a little bit biased, but I think marijuana legalization, it would be a great thing, but I do not think, maybe, we are reaching legalization in a lot of states. However, I don't know if it'll be a countrywide thing. We have came a long way in terms of medically legalized, recreationally. I think I don't know. But I think if marijuana was legal throughout our whole country, pharmacies would lose so much money because marijuana is the cure to a lot of things. I believe marijuana plays a huge part in people's health if you use it properly and, etc. It has a lot of assets to it. It has a lot of pros to it, but people don't want to talk about that. And I also think two things. If marijuana was legalized, the pharmacies, yes, they would lose a lot of money in terms of treatment, etc. And also, a lot of the people, unfortunately, who are in prison, jail, who are incarcerated due to selling, literally smoking, there'd be a shit ton of people just getting let out of jail right now. But, there's still people in jail for selling simply weed. Crazy. I think the legalization should happen. People don't really like talking about it, and people are biased, and it's definitely a generational thing and an opinionated thing. Someone who smokes weed and doesn't have a good time on it probably isn't going to want it legalized versus someone who does and has health benefits and who holistically believes in that type of stuff. Weed is a very biased thing, and there's still very weird tastes in people's mouth about it. I see it firsthand. I see it secondhand. It's very interesting. That is something that I think it could be obtained, but I also don't think it could be in terms of like the loss of financials on a pharmaceutical end specifically. Capital punishment, death penalty. Wow. That one, this one is very controversial. So I can look at it many ways. I can look at it as you take a life, you deserve to get yours taken. But also, if you take a life, you kind of deserve to suffer in jail forever and just stare at the wall. It's a very weird thing. From what I understand, it's not legal in a lot of states anymore. I don't think it's legal in my state. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think it's legal in my state anymore. I just think it's brutal. It's brutal. We've seen it in culture and media that the executions. It's disturbing. It's fucked up to say, but it can be well deserved, I think. But I can understand why people don't really like it, because I saw something and it was like, why would you punish bad with bad? And I saw that and I was like, that's actually like very true. The point of getting people in trouble, or the point of putting people away, is to discipline them, not like literally, well, yeah, I just don't, but in a way, I don't think bad should X out bad, because that kind of, you go to jail for killing someone, but then like the people who sent you to jail kill you. I don't know. It's very weird. And I know we have very much came a long way in a lot of countries with capital punishment, but that's a weird subject. Marriage equality. Okay. I think, wow, the fact that this is controversial, love is love. Whoever you love, marry them. I think all marriage should be legal. Now, I'm not judging, well, I am judging polyamorous relationships, that stuff, multiple marriages. I'm sorry, that's weird. That's my opinion. But, I think two people united is a marriage. If you want to add all that other shit, that's kind of weird. But I think no matter what your gender identification is, religion, I think I think all people belong together and love is love, and you can't prevent that. And I do think we have came a long way with that, for sure. but I'm sure there's still ways to go. But there will be stigma forever with anything of a minority. Immigration reform. Crazy, because I was actually thinking of this today. This one's hard, because I understand, and I say this all the time, I'm thankful I was born in America and not a third world country. I completely understand why people come here illegally, legally. Do I think it should be a free-for-all? No, because that's simply not fair. But I do think the immigration process should be easier and it should be more fair to people, because I remember in one of my classes, we took the immigration test, and I'm a born citizen. I've lived in the United States my whole life. I couldn't even take that thing. I don't know if they've made it easier. I don't know what, but wow. The argument is escaping gang activity, drug violence, civil unrest, human trafficking, like all this shit. Pretty much saying that people can bring the crime here. Well, that's arguable, but there's plenty of crime here as well. If you want to, background checks go a whole way. It's a weird subject. I simply think, I think people should be able to, if they want to leave their country and come somewhere for a better life, I think it should be easy. Like I said, I don't think it should be a free-for-all, but at the same time, if someone is here, they're working hard and they want a better life and you're here legally, that's none of my business. No matter, that's none of my business. And I do think, unfortunately, a lot of immigrants do get a bad rep, even if they are here legally, because there's a lot of xenophobia, obviously, in a lot of countries. But that's another thing. I'm thankful I don't have to really, be, yeah. The Trump presidency. Okay. I don't like, as I said before, if you've watched my videos, I don't like any politicians. I can't stand any of them. But I'm not going to sit here and say that Donald Trump did not do stuff for our country, because he surely did. He has made positive changes in some factors in our country. But, I'm not sitting here crying that he won. I'm not sitting here, disrespecting the flag that he won. His 4 years are up. There's, and the thing is there's nothing we can do about it. And all I'm going to say is the person in office now is, if you think Trump was worse than him, then you're kind of a part of the problem. And I'm not talking from a political standpoint. I'm kind of talking from this up here. But I think the average person should be able to realize that by now. And like I said, this isn't about politics. It's kind of about what makes our country better and who has their head screwed on fully. But in conclusion, I don't like him. I have respected him once as a businessman from a business perspective, but he's not my favorite dude, along with all the other presidents and politicians. I don't like any of them. I really don't. Okay, the next one, the opioid crisis. Okay, this is sad. Fentanyl is what's really killing people. I mean, heroin is as well, but the opioid crisis, pills, etc. It's sad, and it's ruining people, It's a very upsetting crisis. I think if people are dealing with that, I think they should be able to have the resources to go to rehab. My opinion, I don't like the safe testing spots where people can use and then go to the testing spots. It's pretty much saying hey, try to kill yourself and then we're here to help you. So then if you want to just keep doing it, no. I don't think anything should encourage usage. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. I understand I might not fully understand the clinics, but if it keeps people off the streets, if it keeps them clean, I am all for it. I just kind of look at it as it's kind of a doorway to let people use more. My apologies if I'm understanding it incorrectly, but I just really want, it's not fair for people who go through addiction and suffer and all the people who've died, I just think there should be something done about it. But stuff's getting cut, people are getting their hands on the wrong things. It's really something, it's something I pray about in my sleep. I pray for the people who are struggling. If you know people who are struggling or have known people who have lost the battle, it's really sad, and it's something, I do pray about, and I pray for anyone who's struggling in that, because there are ways out for sure. And I don't think people should look at anyone who's suffering with addiction as someone that's not deserving or someone that's low or a loser or none of that, because there's a reason why these people are doing these drugs. There's a reason why these people are using, because they're fighting, they say demons, they are fighting demons. In terms of the crisis, I think we should be respectful with people, because, you see it everywhere. In a way, you wish you could help, but sometimes you can't help people, and people with addiction, it takes them to realize that. And that's something that's really prolific in addiction, is you have to realize it. And the opioid crisis, for some people, it does start on pharmaceutical drugs, and that's a whole other thing. But it's sad, and that goes to like the gun laws. You can get your hands on anything, and you can continue to get your hands on anything. And it's more so, you need to tell yourself that you don't need this, or you need to figure out other ways to get out of this. But like I said, the opioid crisis, it's a very sad subject, and I hope and I pray that we can really come a longer way in lowering the death rates, lowering the usage. Everyone has potential. There's, just because you're a user or you were a user, that does not take away from your potential or what you can complete in life. And I think that's really something to think about and keep in the back of your head, for sure. Next one. Get a little choked up. Transgender rights. So transgender rights. I think transgender people do get very discriminated against. A lot of the times people can argue not. It's very true. Yeah, human rights should apply equally to, I personally think they should. I'm not saying they don't. There's deaths that are very common in the transgender community. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. And it says transgender people face discrimination in education, housing, military service, credit access, healthcare based on their gender identity or gender expression. Now, I 1000% believe that, because we have people in this world who simply can't accept that there's differences, and people aren't always going to be the same. I have respect for people in any community. I have respect for people in the transgender community, for being your true self and who you really are. And I think equality should go on all ends. Like I said before, we are coming a long way, but we do have ways to go. And I'm not trying to deter transgender people's validity, but it said housing discrimination and education discrimination, credit access. Redlining is a very much thing. I'm not saying this is what people are saying, but it's not just the transgender community that experiences this discrimination and should have rights. Black people themselves experience a lot of discrimination, and I'm not playing my trauma is worse than your trauma, or I'm not playing the trauma Olympics here, but I think there are multiple categories of minorities that get discriminated against and that deserve rights. Transgender rights, I think any human on this earth, no matter who they are, what they believe, deserves rights. I think if you don't believe that, then, it's kind of like not normal. Oh, this is a great one. Next one. Federal livable wage. Federal minimum wage, $7.25 per hour. I don't care where you work. I think people who get paid minimum wage, no, I don't think any of us could argue that it's not a livable wage. People who are getting paid minimum wage, it's not a good amount of money to live comfortably, unless you're like cutting corners, cutting pennies, for sure. I think it should be more. The government sits on trillions of dollars. I'm not even being dramatic. You know what? Let's make a word. The government's sitting on zillions of dollars. And I think the money could be dispersed more and more reasonably. And, a lot of people complain minimum wage workers are so mean, they're so miserable. I'm sorry, but a lot of them are unfortunately getting paid peanuts and not given taxes. Your taxes get taken out. What I'm trying to say is I've been working for years of my life, and I'm not old. I'm still, a kid, 21 years old. What do I know about the world? But it takes a lot of your money out. And, these people are busting their ass, people in minimum wage jobs, just to get paid. I'm not saying these people don't make money. I'm not looking down on them whatsoever. I think it's unfair that these people are getting paid such low amounts when they could be getting paid more amounts. And people can say, out in California, I think my cousin told me the minimum wage is $15, but the cost of living out in California is more expensive. So that's something to factor in. I just think money can be utilized like way differently and way more respectfully. I think a lot of jobs aren't, it's not a livable wage that people are getting. White supremacy. White supremacy has existed for years, and will it continue to exist for years? Yes, unfortunately. You know, I know it's prolific in certain parts of the South, and it's sad. It is a thing. Very much is white supremacy because it's a majority in this country and in general. It sucks because there's not much we can do about it. Hateful groups still do exist. You know, I think racism will exist forever. And racism goes on all ends. However, white supremacy is very much a thing. It exists. It exists within clubs, schools, workplaces. I don't know. I think it exists everywhere for sure. And I look at white supremacy as, yes, you can look at it as, you know, the KKK, racist groups, but you can also look at it as simply white people thinking they're superior, because that also is what white supremacy is. And I do think that's definitely a thing in all gender identifications and people. And, you know, I always hope, I say to people, if we teach our children and the next generations that, like, accept people no matter what they look like, maybe racism will wipe out. But I also don't know, because racism will always be a thing, and supremacy, it's more so kind of just putting your middle finger up to the people who, no, I'm just kidding, but it's more so kind of just like the people who have hate in their heart, and just don't pay them any freaking mind, because I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen supremacists for sure. Okay. The new Green Deal. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm sorry. I don't want to talk about that. Electoral college, I don't want to talk about that either. Pretty much your vote is invalid. The Electoral College picks everything, and all the political people are just, they just conspire together. Black Lives Matter. Okay, that movement pretty much started with the deaths of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, and a lot of other black people due to police brutality. I think it started off as a great cause, but I think it did get a little crazy, and as a black person, I was really offended when I found out. I wasn't surprised. I was not surprised. I was offended. The money towards Black Lives Matter, the people we were donating, I'm pretty sure it was going to some, like, old white man. And then this, like, went into the All Lives Matter. And my opinion on that is pretty much, the point of Black Lives Matter was to say that Black Lives Matter. And then the All Lives Matter was kind of like, in my opinion, it was a counter saying, like, F you, we all matter. Yes, everyone does matter. But black people have been for years. We have came a long way, but it's still a thing. Black people are looked at on a lower pedestal versus other people. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. And if you think that's an opinion, then you should probably check your skin color, because it probably does not apply to you. Now, do I think the BLM got out of hand? Yes. But that is also because people took it out of the wrong context, which made people, black people mad, it made people of all categories mad. So then it went out of context. That was a very scary time when, you know, black people were getting killed, or there was like that spike in police brutality, and then people were rioting. I think that was very scary. I understand being upset, but we will not get anything out of destroying shit, and let alone destroying people's businesses who probably have nothing to do with this. Weird era. I'm sorry if that's disrespectful. Weird era, scary era. Black lives do matter, yes, but that era was very, like, attacking, and all lives matter, Black Lives Matter. That's all I was seeing on the internet, and I kind of stayed off the internet for a bit, or just kind of scrolled past, because it's just very manipulative and brainwashing, and, you know, people say this way, and maybe they don't mean it that way, but you take it that way, and, like, yeah. Oh, all right, let's talk about something funny. Cancel culture. Oh my God. All I'm going to say about cancel culture is it's very weird. I personally think if everyone on earth got all their shit aired out, we'd all be canceled. I don't give a fuck who you are. we have all said some shit that isn't cool, isn't right, whatever, we've grown. I think cancel culture is very pick and choosy. Now, I think when we say cancel culture, you can probably think about at least like 5 people who've gotten canceled. It seems a lot of it, people get canceled for racial things or like things they've said years ago. I think people can grow, and I personally think it's great to hold people accountable, but it's also, if you're bringing up something someone said when they were like 10, that's kind of weird. And also, if you're canceling someone because they didn't post something, that's weird. If you're canceling people because of their political view or because they think this way, or I just think, but like I said, cancel culture is very pick and choosy, and I think there's a weird window where I've seen like these past, like I want to say maybe past like 4 years, maybe like 2.5. There's a thing where people get canceled. I've seen it on TikTok with creators. I've seen it with YouTubers. There's like a window where they get canceled. They got to stay off the internet. And then they just come back and it's like, oh, hey, yeah. Or it's like, ew, why are you back? It's either one or the other. There's a few creators that are going in my mind right now, but I don't want to throw names. There's been a few creators that are kind of around my age who have been like foolproof, like, lurking after kids and whatnot, but they're still clout and all, fans and all. So that is very pick and choosy, and I am not sitting here defending people who say racist words, any of that, but, I just don't get how people can see past someone being a literal creep and like perv versus someone who might have said something controversial. I don't know. Weird. Cancel culture is very pick and choosy. Super weird. Student debt crisis. Oh, hello. I am in that little crisis. College is so expensive. I went because I wanted to get a degree. I was not forced to. I wanted to get a degree for myself. I was aware of how much it is. College obviously wasn't always this expensive. Screw the guy who did this, but he kind of had a theory back in, I don't know, like the 1900s or something, or the 1800s. I don't know. I forget his name because screw him. But he said, more people are attending college, like, let's bump up the prices. So what did he do? He bumped up the prices. Student debt's insane. I would hope it eventually gets wiped out because I owe a lot of money to who? The government. I think it's a way they keep us like on a leash, and like they have like our finances and they know how much we owe them, because average person, a lot of people I go to school with, I couldn't afford college. Therefore, I took out loans for the 4 years I'm attending. It's kind of made that way so you can't afford it. But yeah, that crisis is crazy. The student debt crisis, it's a lot of money. And they say once you make 120 payments, your debt is wiped. That's like paying for 10, 12 years. And it also brings like the stress on how are you going to pay your loans off? Do you want to knock it out, or like, do you want to still pay your loans off and still live, but do you want to collect interest? It's very stressful. And I'm graduating in May, and it's something I have to think about, because I do eventually want to move out. I want to, one day have a family. I want to buy a house, but it's like I have loans. So like, do I want to lower it? It's just meant to keep us under, and it's meant to keep us crazy and lose our ideology of economics and our ideology of money. To anyone who's watching this who wants to go to college, go, like, don't let that stop you, but please don't ever feel obligated to. I would continue to go to college, but, I'm in college, but if I could go back, I might have only went for 2 years, or I would have went to a trade school or some other type of school. Universal health care, oh, that's okay. Yeah, I think we all need health care. I think we all take hospital visits, people have health issues. I think healthcare should be accessible to a lot of people. I don't think it should be that expensive. Insurance confuses me because you pay for an insurance, or your job covers the insurance. And then sometimes they're like, oh, your insurance doesn't cover this. Well, then what's the point of insurance? You need insurance, but no. Healthcare is very weird. Healthcare can be expensive. Sometimes they try to do some loopholes where like, oh, yeah, you have to pay this, actually. Healthcare is very debatable. I think it should be more affordable for sure and more accessible. And from what I understand, it kind of like, if you can't afford it, it's kind of like, oh, tough luck. But I think everyone needs healthcare, you know, to survive. You need to check on your health. I'm not saying the doctors are always right, but you should have the resources to get healthcare. Yeah, so it was like, I guess it was like a paper guide for this dude. Thanks, Evan, for making this article, because I just used it. I think I'm allowed to do that. Yeah. So I used that. It's like the first thing that comes up. I'm on another website actually. Let's see what else. Let's see if there's anything I missed. No, I feel like that article really covered everything. Drinking age, I honestly think it should stay 21. People illegally drink anyway, and honestly, if it went to 18, you know, I'm sure, I know other countries are fine, but I think if it went to 18 in America, a lot of extra issues would be happening. Insider trading, should insider trading by Congress be allowed? No, because like people are literally in jail for that. Milk, is drinking milk healthy for humans? Okay. I think too much of anything is bad for you, but I mean, I think milk is good for you, just not all the time. Oh God, now it gets to presidents. Should prostitution be legal? No, I would say no, not in terms of like looking down on. It's more so no, because I just don't think that would be good for our society. And you know, whoever is doing prostitution, it's really not a safe occupation, and I don't think that should be legal. If people have to do it, you know, that's their situation. I'm not looking down on them, but I just don't think it's a safe thing to be doing. And I definitely don't think it should be legal, because I don't think people should be seeing that and thinking like, oh, I'll do that when I grow up. Like, there's endless opportunities for people. I don't think that should be one of them for people to like look forward to. Santa Claus, is there really a Santa Claus? Yes, I think so, because why would the concept of him exist? Now, I don't know if he goes through our chimney anymore, but I think he exists for sure. Standardized tests, is the use of standardized tests improving education in America? No. Your smartness is not calculated on a freaking test number or a test result. I don't think they should be used. That dictated like what college I got into. I'm thankful I got into a good college. I'm thankful for all the people I met. But theoretically, if I scored higher on the standardized testings, I would have been able to get into a higher school. And I don't like how it's more so a hierarchy of, you get this grade, okay, you can only go here. And that's what my advisors in high school pretty much told me. And yeah, so no, I don't like PSSAs, PSATs, SATs, Keystones, none of that. You know, Keystones, the teachers are just getting paid. I just think it's ridiculous. Let's see what else. Is vaping e-cigarettes safe? No. And if you're watching this and you smoke e-cigarettes, listen, I used to do it. I did it in high school. I did it beginning of college. Stop. It's not good for you. I'm not saying I don't do anything bad, but just please, you couldn't even name 5 things that are in it, you know? Should the voting age be lowered to 16? No, because the people who are voting at 18 don't even know what they're talking about, so what the hell would a 16-year-old know? Are ride-hailing companies such as Uber and Lyft an overall benefit to society? I think so. Yes, it can be argued that they're not safe, but I can't tell you how many Ubers and Lyfts I've taken and they've got me to my location. I've honestly had some really cool drivers in my life before, and I think they are beneficial, but it's more so just, you know, anywhere you go, if you're Ubering, taxiing, any of that, it's very important to just be observant and be aware. Always make sure your map is nearby if you're in a ride share, any of that stuff. I looked through 2 articles, I simply just Googled like controversial topics. They're pretty much the same across all the board. I covered, you know, the ones that, you know, I felt like I could kind of speak on, just like a little breeze through. I hope you guys enjoyed it, or like if you guys, you know, like I said, you don't have to agree with me. I'm kind of just airing out like my opinions, what I think about things, because, you know, it's interesting to talk about like this type of stuff. If you don't agree, if you agree, it's your decision, it's your prerogative, you know, that's on you. I'm gonna try to film again soon, probably within the week or 2. I'm trying to think of what I'm gonna film. Don't know what direction I want to take. But yeah, so that was my little controversial topics video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and like I said, if you don't agree with me, maybe it's interesting to look at it from another perspective. I always think it's interesting, like, people, you don't always have to agree with people, and you can learn from not agreeing. And, I've heard opposing sides before to stuff, and I'm like, oh, like, I never even thought of it that way. And I think one thing about this world is it makes, it's trying to tell us, if you don't agree with people, it's not good, they're not good people. It's simply, people's morals and beliefs fall in different categories. Someone disagreed with me with everything I said, that does not make them a bad person. And I would probably still be subject to being friends with them because that's their opinion, that's my opinion, and I respect other people's opinions. None of us have to agree. And, I think there's a medium, there's a happy medium, there doesn't have to be a happy medium. You don't always have to agree with people. And that's one of the biggest things I try to tell, or I try to explain to people is this is people are trying to hate each other because they don't agree with stuff. But, if you lived in a world with everyone who agreed with you, you'd probably get sick of it, And, for all we know, opposites attract. Cheers, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm going to have another video coming soon. It was kind of just a spur of the moment. I didn't know what I was going to film, but I knew I wanted to film. So I was like, why not talk about this? But yeah, enjoy, guys. I hope you have a great break. Have a good week. I'm going to edit this. This video is really long, so it might take me a bit. But yes, have a great week. Stay safe, do your thing, do you, be yourself, and all that fun shit. And yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Mwah.